Welcome to Rico 12. I'm Justin B., your host and a child of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God and an addict living in the miracle of recovery one day at a time. Rico 12 is an open to all addictions and afflictions organization dedicated to exploring the common threads of the differing manifestations of alcoholism, sharing tools, and offering hope from those walking a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and locations to learn and support one another. Our speakers come from various fellowships and experiences, demonstrating the universal principles of recovery. Rico 12 is not allied or affiliated with any specific 12-step fellowship. This is Rico 12 speaker meeting number 386, and I'm super excited for you to join us here live or on the recording later in podcast platforms. Today's speaker is Jonny Q, a first-time Rico 12 speaker, and his talk today is entitled, How a Near-Death Experience Made Me Realize That Sobriety Isn't Enough. And I look forward to hearing more about his message here in a few minutes. But first, a few quick notes, announcements. Rico 12 does offer a variety of recovery resources, including podcasts and social media communities. To explore more, visit RICO12.com. That's RECO12.com. Check the chat in the live meeting or the show notes in the podcast for that information. I'll be putting that in here as we go throughout this meeting. Now, one more note, we are still seeking a few more speakers for the rest of the year. We've got many of those weeks filled, but I'd like to be able to say, okay, we got every Friday taken care of for the rest of 2025. So if you or someone you know has this message that needs to come out, reach out to me at rico12pod@gmail.com and we'll get things lined up. Rico 12 is self-supporting, and your contributions help us continue this mission. Thank you so much to all our Spearhead donors, past and present. This week, thank you so much to Nora and to a generous anonymous donor for your donations. These really help. If you out there feel your higher power nudging you to make a contribution, you can do so, and I'll put the information in the chat and in the show notes, but go to rico12.com/support, and you can do that. Your support, both financially, but especially by word of mouth. Share this with your recovery networks. Really and truly helps make a difference in helping us share these messages of hope and recovery. Each week, we receive light and inspiration from our speakers. Their experience brings hope, meaning, worth, and growth to us as listeners. Now, I'm going to welcome today's guest speaker, Jonny Q. Here's just a little bit about him, and I'll get the floor turned over to him in just a second. Jonny Q has been in the rooms for 10 years. He's a single dad who raised his son single-handedly for the last 8 years. Jonny stopped using cocaine and alcohol in 2015, but picked up an amphetamine-based pre-workout between years 6 and 7. He had a continuous sex and love addiction until a few months ago. Jonny is now doing everything he can to strive towards total abstinence of everything. Take it away, Jonny. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Justin, for that beautiful introduction. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share. I really do feel honored today to share my experience, strength, and hope. And so my name is Jonny. I'm an addict. A little bit about my sort of history. I've been in the rooms for just over 10 years. I came in for a cocaine drink problem, sort of all drugs, but mainly cocaine was my thing. I started using it when I was 18, and I stopped using it when I was 30. It was weird. I started using it when I was 18 because I knew it was going to be the one that destroyed me. And I put an age limit. Obviously, it's illegal. There is no age limit to buy cocaine, but I put my own age limit on it. And I said, I'm going to wait till I'm 18. And I remember on my 18th birthday, I did that. And I just went for it, and that was me for 13 years on it. I'm not going to go into any other details apart of that sort of using period, apart from the fact that there were many ominous warnings, as it talks about in Bill's story, like getting arrested, thinking I was going to go to prison that time, and do it, like lots of things like that. Family pretty much disowning me, horrible stuff that I did to people as well when I was taking coke. But the main, it really did ramp up with these consequences. During the sort of the last year of my using, I was homeless. I made myself homeless because I just 1 month wanted an extra £700 to pay, to spend on drugs, and thought, oh, I'll just live in hostels now because then I'll be able to spend that £700, the rent money that month, and go and do that. So I was actually homeless for the last nearly a year of my active cocaine addiction, and had a son as well, and he's 11 now, but social services, they found out. So for people in America, social services is just like welfare, I believe. That they're looking after the child's needs, and they have like the authority and power to take the child out of the situation if they see fit. And I've got like a massive ominous warning was just like they came in and they spoke to my wife at the time when I was at work, and she explained what I was up to. They saw a lot of stuff in the house, but they just decided for some reason not to pursue that. And then obviously I was thinking, phew, that I got away with that. And then a few months went on, and yeah, basically I came home from work one day. My wife at the time that she wasn't there. All their stuff, my son's toys, that he was like 6 months old at that time, that was all gone. And this is where I really do relate to the whole, like, I am the real alcoholic, because, or real addict, if you want to go on page 19 and 20 of the book, because any person who was just the mild cocaine user would have just been able to stop probably at years before, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I spent so much money on coke. I'm never doing that again. The hard drinker, if I was the hard addict or the hard drinker, when that time came when social services were getting involved, okay, stuff's getting a bit wild now. I need to stop and pack it in because this is not good, and this is not good for my son. That wasn't me. I still carried on. But I still carried on when social services took my son. Yeah. And it upsets me to think that I was like that. I celebrated that fact. Yes, they're gone. I don't have to sneak around the house anymore, sneaking, doing mad stuff. I'm putting the wheelie bins, pretending I'm actually putting the wheelie bins out, the trash cans, you might call that in America. And it wasn't even the day to pick up the wheelie bins, you know what I mean? And I'm putting them out and meeting a dealer at 4 o'clock in the morning and telling my wife, oh yeah, I've just put the bins out. All kind of mad behaviors like that. I thought, I don't have to do that anymore. They were gone for 2 days, and that was the last time I'd ever used coke. Because I planned this binge. It was never supposed to be the last time. I never thought that recovery existed, or I never ever thought I was going to be able to stop. I just thought I was just going to keep on going until I died. And what happened was I picked up a half ounce of coke. I don't know if there are people who use coke here, but that's quite a lot for one person to do. I don't know if it is actually. I'm talking to a room full of addicts, but for me that was a lot to do in 12 hours, and I did that in 12 hours. And I remember just running out and being like, "Oh my God, I've run out." Then I phoned the dealer, no answer. I thought, oh. And then about a few minutes later, I could feel like the heart palpitations. I could really hear my heartbeat, like much more. Like the psychosis had gone on for years. The whole like, oh my God, they're going to kill me. Looking out the window, looking out the spy hole, thinking the helicopters are coming, thinking that there's gangs of people outside that are about to kick the door down. And I just did this every week. But this time it really did feel like I was going to die. And I remember getting my phone out, and I was just about to ring the ambulance. That's 999 in the UK, and for some reason, what came over me was a thought of, oh my God, if I go to hospital and then the dealer rings back when I'm in the ambulance, and he's not going to come to the hospital, and then I went, and in that moment, yeah, it felt like God paralyzed the liar within me long enough for me to see the truth about what was going on in that moment. Like, I'm killing myself. And only in that moment, yeah, I did come to believe that I may have a coke problem. When I got my kid taken off me 3 days before, and the social services had quite compelling evidence against that fact, with pictures of bits and pieces lying around the house, they were telling me, we think you've got a drug problem. I said, I definitely do not have a drug problem. I could stop at any time. But it was only in that very moment and it did feel like that lightning bolt moment that's been talked about. And it hit me. And then I went onto the internet, and then I started to just this was 2015. It wasn't on a smartphone. I had a little laptop, and I was trying to find cocaine. Cocaine, how to stop taking cocaine was the Google search, and I come up with Cocaine Anonymous. I thought, wow, I could go to this meeting. It's 5 minutes from my house, and it literally was the next day, 5 minutes from my house, that meeting. So I went there, and on the way there, I thought, oh my God, like this whole thing, the Cocaine Anonymous, and I'm going to tell them that I did a half ounce, like, and they're just going to be like amazed, like, oh my God, this guy, like, they're going to be putting my picture on the posters. Already thinking about how I'm going to pose for it, like, I'm going to do like some mad sort of a picture photo shoot for this poster. And I got in there, and I just remember sharing my story, crying. And I just got hope from that meeting because I realized that I thought I was the only one that used to use in the way that I did, yeah. And it wasn't the case. People were saying, like, telling me it's going to be all right. You don't have to live like this. And I did everything that was suggested. I remember getting a little tea commitment. I remember just keep coming back, keep coming back to the slogan. But I did. I just kept coming back, done my work with my sponsor, done all of the, sorry, not done all of it, but worked my way through the steps. And um, life was feeling really good. Yeah, it felt like the promises in the big book were being fulfilled. To the point where I went to court after 2 or 3 years clean, and I actually managed to get full custody of my son. His mother started abusing him, unfortunately, and I became a single dad overnight. Luckily, I did have 2.5 years or 3 years away from drinking drugs. Um, I started a business. So I got my driving license. I started a business. Like I was, sorry, I was one of those sort of addicts that just couldn't. I would never have been able to drive in my active addiction anyway. So I never tried. I managed to get my driving license. I managed to like win the love of my parents back. I'm not. I think they always loved me, but to get the trust of them back. I remember my dad. He asked me to be the best man at his wedding. Like my mum, I gave my mum away in her marriage as well, and I wouldn't have been even invited to these kind of functions. Not when there were so many people there and like all eyes on the family, because they know what I'd have been like. I'd have been outside meeting dealers, going into the toilet, and just leaving the whole thing, you know. And as the years went on, so sort of like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I I cannot say that I didn't. I felt like I was all right. The only reason being that I started to blot out that consciousness with lust and love. And it wasn't even really the like having sex part of it. Now I look back on it, it was just that sort of like that validation, that sort of like the chasing thing that, oh my God, like, is this going to be a relationship? Is she going to text me back? Is she not? Like, is this over? Oh my God, I don't know. And then like, oh, that sense of ease and comfort when she's like says, hi, how are you? Good morning. Like, what the hell? Like, it just seems like crazy now, but um, that's the life that I was living then, you know? And in year 6 and 7, it's a bit crazy. I like to go to the gym. I still do that. But during year 6 and 7, I went into a shop and I got some pre-workout. And the guy said, he goes, look, I've got this stuff. It's under the counter. It's been imported from the States. And he goes, it's really strong. And I was just like, yeah, I'll take that. Got home, done a scoop of it. I can only describe it as coming up off of ecstasy tablets, pills. Ecstasy tablets sounds a bit posh, but it felt like I was coming off of pills. I remember after my workout, I was just sitting there, I was ringing people, having heart to hearts, like, oh my God, yeah, where have you been all my life? Like all this nonsense. And I knew that I had done something that was not right. It did not align with my um, cocaine and all mind altering substances. I knew that. And I remember getting on the phone to my sponsor, and he said, "Well, you didn't know that. Flush it down the toilet. Just don't do it again. That's it." So I did that. Flushed it down the toilet. Woke up the next day like I was just still wired, and I pursued that. Yeah, I went into the shop the next day, and I was just like, "Yeah, what else have you got?" And that was it. I just took that for a whole year. And that was the thing that disconnected me from everything, that little bit of connection that I did have, because I was talking before about the promises being fulfilled. Were they? Yes, getting my kid back, getting my business, my pet. Mostly, they're all material things, you know what I mean? I wasn't feeling happy inside. And I remember going into a meeting and picking up my 7 years. Of course, everyone's clapping. My family, oh my God, he's made it to 7 years. Great. I've literally introduced them to about 6 or 7 love of my lives in that time. But everyone's still like, oh my God, you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. I can understand that why they would be so proud of me to have that achievement of not using. Um, the fact is that the next week I went in there and I gave the chip back. I shared in the meeting. I said, "Listen, I've not been honest here. Like, I still had enough God consciousness to be able to talk about, like to feel that as being dishonest as what I was doing, as what I was telling people." So I gave this chip back, picked up the newcomer's white chip, white keyring, and never went back to a meeting for 3 years. And at the time, I never planned on that. It wasn't like I was, it's never like I left that meeting and said, right, I'm going to never go back to a meeting. That's it. I'm done. I just, I slowly started to drift. It says in the book about drifting and drifting and drifting away. And I can tell you now that during those 3 years of being away from recovery, away from the meetings, my suicidal brain became my only normal one. My suicidal life became my only normal one. And it was it was tough. Yeah, I felt just nothing made me happy. I resented everybody. I blocked my nan. I stopped talking to my sister. I just did so many I did so many people such great harm. I'm so sorry. I need to pause this. I've got my son knocking at the door and it must be really important because I told him something. I'm so sorry about this.
Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Rico 12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform. We're okay. Look forward to getting Johnny back here in a minute. But all right, welcome back, Johnny. You had just mentioned that you had blocked your nan and your sister, and
Yeah, I'm incredibly sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, I blocked my nan, I blocked my sister, I started like the love addiction was rife. I was just going on dating apps and I was getting banned from dating apps. It really was that bad. Um, and I I kind of had a bit of intuition here to think, oh, you know what? I've got a sex and love problem. I'm going to just stop doing that. And I had a bit of willpower around it. Yeah, I got a year and a half. I'm celibate. Bearing in mind, I haven't been to any meetings or anything. I'm literally just a dry drunk at this point. And after about a year and a half, it was really random. Some people, just random people in my life, said, "Oh, like, why don't you have a girlfriend? Why don't you have a wife or whatever?" Like, and then I thought, "Oh, that's yeah. Why don't I do that?" Even though I was still saying verbally to people like I can't be in a relationship. This is my behavior pattern. I do this. I see a girl for 3 months. I promise her everything, and then I just ghost her, and then I move on to the next one. And I ghost her, and I move on to the next one, and that just goes on and on and on. But for some reason, because I thought that I'd done that a year and a half away from it, that I was going to be all right. But the fact of it was, That's just like me coming away from a cocaine addiction and then a year and a half being like, oh, I won't have a problem with it now because it's been so long, you know? And I met this girl and things went really well at first, pardon me, on Tinder and playing God again. I need a girlfriend. I need to do this. I need to. And we had it felt at the time, it felt like the right thing. Like everything aligned. We were really like quite connected. We were like, it just felt like it could have been something that could have lasted a long time. Um, but unfortunately, after 3 weeks, and it sounds silly, but even though it was only 3 weeks, it really did feel like a 5-year relationship within those 3 weeks. It was crazy. And after a few weeks, for some reason, I just like all this, like, not self pity, but I was just getting like, what's the word? Um, I'm so sorry, not like self obsessed, but insecure. So that was the word, insecure. Oh my God, like this feels like so good that she might leave me, blah, blah, blah. And then I just ended it like that. And I remember going home. I was on my kitchen floor, and this is probably the first time in the whole of my recovery that I properly asked God, like, what is going on? And I broke down in tears in the kitchen, just going, why? Like, why can't I have a relationship? Why can't I be normal? Why can't I be like other people? I didn't get an answer back straight away. I managed to sort things out with this girl. I'm really sorry. I just got a bit crazy yesterday. Can we sort things out? Yeah. And then we went into we went on a holiday the next week just for a couple of days away. And it's not an explicit story, by the way, but we were just sort of chilling in the hot tub. He showed me her phone, watched this video, and as we were watching the video, like a notification came up from another guy just saying, "Oh, it looks beautiful, babe," or something like that. And I just literally went mad. I was just thinking, "Oh my God, this is what's gonna happen. You wanted to do this to yourself. You wanted to commit suicide. I don't even want to be living anymore. What the hell? What the hell?" Like all of these crazy thoughts were going on in my head. And and this is probably the craziest thing I might have ever said to someone in my life. Was I remember going up to her and going, "You're lucky I'm in recovery." Now I laugh at that now because when I think about it, like, how can somebody in recovery just be so angry about a situation like that? And the fact is that I didn't have I didn't have any recovery whatsoever. We had an argument. I obviously not so obviously, but we didn't have any sort of like big fight or anything there. And I remember just driving my car, just with like, oh my God, why is this? Why is my life like this? Why is my life like this? Just not knowing why. Got to this railroad crossing. It was probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And this is what I'm talking about, the near-death experience. So I was just sitting there and thinking, all I need to do right now is drive my car into this train, the next one that comes. And I started to really think deep about it. I was like, I'll just get my app out on my phone, and then I'll be able to just find out what time the first train is, and it will just be perfect, you know? I didn't do that. And it was like, this is the only other time that a proper lightning bolt moment from the sky came down. Like, obviously not really, but it felt like that in my head, a bit like the cocaine time. And and God was just telling me that I need to and go to a meeting. That was all I needed to do. Because I realized that again, I've got two alternatives. Do I pursue this sex, love, maybe get back into drugs, and do I pursue that, or do I try and just try? I didn't even think too much about the recovery at all. It was just like, I just need to go to the meeting. Remember, I came into an AA meeting, and it was far worse coming in to that meeting, being drunk, and just having this sex and love addiction than it was when I was coming in, because it was only at that point that I actually knew that there was something wrong with me. Before, when I came in, it was like, of course I'm like this. It's the drink and drugs. But then when I'm faced with this, I haven't done drink and drugs really for 10 years. but I'm still like this. That was when it hit me, and I was like, yeah, oh my God, like I need to do this. And I remember my head was on the table. It's not coming out of my nose. I was crying. I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk for 5 meetings. I continued going to meetings. I couldn't talk like physically. I was just like, my name's Johnny. I'm an alcoholic. I literally just couldn't put words together. And I did actually manage to find a sponsor. Some of you might know. Some of you might know this lady. It's a crazy Canadian lady, and I was on a spiritual cartel meeting and she was sharing, and it was like somebody was sharing into my soul, like talking to me. Yeah. And then we got talking and she said that she was going to sponsor me. And it honestly was like she taught me more about being a man of God than anybody else. And that was the problem. That was for me, that was the problem because I was too worried about being a man, having all this pride, having this ego. And what about Johnny just trying to be a man of God and just try and be loving and kind and tolerant of people and seeing the good in people and everything that it says on our column 5 in our workbook, yeah. And like I said, I built up so many resentments in those 3 years. I blocked my nan, I blocked my sister. It made my family life very difficult because when people come to visit, they have to see us separately. And when I think back on it, I was pursuing those resentments into the gates of insanity and death. Not a drink, not a drug, not the sex. I'm now pursuing the resentments into the gates of insanity and death. Now, remember that the number one offender is resentments. It takes out more alcoholics than anything else or addicts than anything else. So surely death is the only outcome for that. I did step out with Nikki and realised that I've got amends to make. When I looked at it, I can honestly tell you that my sex and love addiction tornado, as it talks about, with the tornado ripping through the lives of people. When I looked at that, I realized that the sex and love tornado made my cocaine tornado look like a summer's breeze. Yeah. It says in the book that, and this is not an overnight matter. When I was doing my step 8, and I think like people can probably relate to this. Someone mentions you like, yeah, I'll go and do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And then you're like, yeah, I'll do that. But in my brain, I'm like, I'm never making that amends to my nan, or the pride, or the ego. Like, how can I tell her I'm wrong? I'm definitely right about this. I'm definitely right about this. Um, and over the week, so this is where the miracles happen. I know we don't have very long left, but this is where a real miracle happened for me last week, and I'm going to share this. Yeah. Um, it was pointed out to me in the book on page 84 that our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. So that means for me in that situation, I can't make that amends. How can I make that amends? I'm talking to someone on the phone, probably about 3 or 4 days ago, and I was having a conversation with that. It is a her, by the way, because men stick with men and women stick with, like, for me, that these miracles would never have happened if I had listened to that. And I've had such a great experience with all of these things in the last month. But the miracle was that I was talking to another lady in the um, Noodle group, and it's about something completely random. And then I was talking about this resentment. Oh, my family, blah, blah, blah. And something just stopped me in my tracks as I was talking, and it was almost like I could hear myself. I could hear myself talking this absolute garbage, yeah. And I started to remember that my nan actually let me stay in a house when I was homeless. Remember the point that I was telling you I was homeless? She let me stay in a house when she knew that I was most probably still in active addiction, which I was. And she let me in a house. And now, after not using drugs for 10 years, I can't put to bed that resentment because she didn't want to look after my son one day. Do you know what I mean? And I just went on and went on and went on. It was like I didn't have a gram of forgiveness for her, but I was sitting there racking up this ounce of pride and just ego and just sniffing it and sniffing it and sniffing it. When I came off the phone, I said to the girl, the lady, I'm going to go and make this amends. I'm going to go and make it today. And I got off the phone, and I knew that I had to just pick. I got off the phone to her. I phoned my nan straight away as soon as my sister gave me her number because I didn't have a number. I knew I didn't want my brain to start coming over and taking over and saying, "No, you're wrong. Like you're right still about this. Just you don't have to do this." I knew I had to make that amends because it's going to kill me. That is going to kill me. That massive resentment I have against my nan, and I'm going to be making that amends tomorrow. I'm going to take her out for breakfast with me and my son. We're going to go and spend a nice time with her. Off the back of this, my mum won't have to do separate visits anymore. My sister and I will hopefully be able to have a better relationship because this is just, it talks about this being a family disease. You know what I mean? This is how it affects the whole family. My son, me, my nan, my sister, my dad, my grandma, my great, just goes on and on and on. And my nan honestly is just, she loves us dearly, you know, and she really does miss her great grandson, which is um, my son. So I'm just going to finish on this. Yeah, something that I just want to share because I really have felt a lot of value in this is that, you know, how do I pray? How do I get over these ex-girlfriends and especially the girl that from the hot tub that I was talking about? And, you know, it was suggested by Nikki that I just pray for them, pray for everything that I want that they get. You know, and it was difficult at first. I'll be honest, I was doing it through gritted teeth. God, please pray for. Now it's wholeheartedly, I just literally want the best for all the people that I've wronged, all the people that I've loved and fantasized about. And I can only view that girl, the hot tub girl. I shouldn't object make her into an object like that, but I don't want to say her name. I can only view that girl as an angel that was sent from God to get me back onto the right path to serve those that are in need around me. And I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Jonny, thank you so much. I love that story. And I want to start off with something that I think you brought around full circle, whether you were aware of it or not. Earlier in the talk, you talked about how God paralyzed the liar for just a minute in your cocaine to make you go, maybe I do have a problem with cocaine, and get you moving towards a solution there. And then I want to go back to how you kind of wrap this up with while you're complaining about your nan to this woman on the phone, and all of a sudden the heavens opened up basically, and God paralyzed the liar for just a minute and showed you that. Talk to me a little bit more about God paralyzing the liar in moments where it's time to wake up. You've got those two experiences. Why is that important? How did that change your life?
Because I felt the presence of a higher power or something else that wasn't my own brain, the thing that's working against me a lot of the time. It's like, no, not gonna talk to her, not gonna talk to her. I'm not an addict, I'm not an addict, I'm not an addict. Boom, you are an addict. Look at you, look at the way that you just got your kid taken off of you. Look at this, look at that, look at that. And then stop. I've got time to think, oh my God, I've got this wrong. And I don't like being wrong, Justin, you know what I mean? But my life depends on it. I don't mind about being wrong in that instance. Yeah. Thanks for the question.
I don't like being wrong either, but man, in those moments where there's that lightning strike of um, open your eyes, you're wrong. It's okay, and I'm grateful for those moments too. Before I go on to any further questions, I want to make sure that our live audience here knows that if they have a question for Jonny, type it in the chat. If you want to remain completely anonymous, don't want me to read your first name, send it to me directly, or at the beginning of your question, write anonymous, please. And we'll get to those questions as we go along. But I've got a few more questions here that I've written down as we've gone along here. You know, Jonny, you talked about drifting. After you kind of stepped out of the rooms of Cocaine Anonymous, after you picked up the newcomer chip after 7 years, you drifted. Talk about the dangers of drifting in recovery, even if you're staying sober. Talk about the dangers of that.
Thanks, Justin. So the dangers of drifting for me, and I love that word used to describe it, is drifting because it's not quickly, it's not even, it's just a bit gentle, it's a bit like, it's not profound. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to need to get somewhere quickly. It's like very much just like falling slowly away from it, not even really realizing for me what is going on before it's too late. And because in that time there was no like I couldn't see. I failed to what is it? It's saying Bill Story. I failed to see the ominous warnings. Yeah, those weren't apparent when I was drifting. I just felt like everything's all right. I'm doing all right. I haven't used. I'm still alive. I don't care about my family, but I don't care anyway. And then I just drift off into the abyss and literally.
Mm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. You mentioned that you got a sponsor, that crazy woman from Canada who, Nikki M, who I work with regularly in different projects and everything. And she is a crazy lady from Canada, and I sure love her, man. But talk to me a little bit about that, how she showed you the importance of being a man of God. What does that mean to you? Define that for me.
Thank you. And yeah, I love Nikki too. I've told her that many times. I didn't ever, and I've got no shame in admitting this, I didn't really realize that I was viewing women as objects before. I had no idea. Like, even if I told you my whole sex and love story, addiction story, I couldn't, I just didn't understand that concept of I'm looking at this as a woman. Nikki said it to me the next day. I'm like, when I'm scrolling or looking in the supermarket, I'm just like, I actually am doing it. Like, that's, yeah, no, yes, no, yeah, no, like that kind of thought process is going on. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to understand that I was doing that. And like for me, it's, I don't want to blame and say I've been programmed and like that's how men have been programmed. But I kind of felt like I'd programmed myself throughout my life, just like, yeah, yes, I would, no, I wouldn't, nah, no way, maybe, like all along. But and then all of a sudden, and he's saying, no, you've got to view these people as people of God. You've got to view that girl as a child of God, not as some sex object that. And like, this was only a few weeks ago, but already that started to become part of me now. I'm not looking at, I'm just not, I'm just like, I'm just, pardon me, I'm not even paying too much attention like how I was before.
Yeah. So, Johnny, with that, I totally get it. Totally get where you're coming from with that. How do you now? You said over the last few weeks you aren't even really noticing that. But if you do slip into, you're at the grocery store, you're on the street, you're at the gym, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you recognize that your brain's going, yep, no, yep, yep. How do you now pull yourself out of that, get out of that situation and that process?
Justin, you're on fire with that question, man. You won't believe me, yeah, but I recoil from it as if from a hot flame. Scroll on TikTok. Oh my God, no, that's not good for me. I'm not going to indulge. Even sometimes I get a few more seconds to think about it, just like I've started. No, 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 no. Come on. It literally has been like that. That it's a night and day change that has been removed from me.
And I love that you're sharing that in this instance because there are so many people, and my home fellowships are S fellowships, and so many people are like, I cannot. My mind is so programmed that I cannot step away, back off once that thought hits. I can't. All I can do is think yes, no, yes, no. And I love that the miracle you're sharing says, you know what? If you and I'm going to put some words in your mouth. You tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm working my amends, if I'm doing the stuff as I need to be doing, and I'm living my life in the 10th through 12th steps, I then recoil from these things as from a hot flame. Is that kind of your experience with that?
100%, Justin. Yeah. Um, it, if I am not doing any other dishonest things, and if I am like really putting others first, and I'm like helping people the majority of my day, that's when I see the real psychic change within me occur.
Mm, love that. All right, we've got a question from Nikki M. Thanks, Nikki, for this question. She says, grateful for you, Jonny, and watching your miracles. How will you now share the message of recovery since the discovery that you have many addictions, not just a drug or alcohol problem?
Thank you, Nikki. I think for me, it's about carrying that message as hello, about carrying the message, depending on who the person is. For if I'm working with somebody who's just come in for drink or drugs, I don't want to start talking about it's just you're thinking might be all of this, might be all of this, because I don't know if that's the right answer to the question, but that's the way I'm looking at it at the moment. But for somebody that's been in recovery for a longer time, that kind of already has an understanding or a grasp of it, and they're still wondering why they're acting out, why they're doing all these things, and it's like, have you thought it might be the sex, it might be the scrolling, it might be the 100 other things that I've circled in on page 3, is it, of my workbook? It could be any of those things. But fundamentally, I think that all of this doesn't matter what fellowship, doesn't matter what sponsorship, where you go through it. All of this is just finding God. Yeah. May you find him now. Thank you for your question, Nikki. I love you.
Beautiful. Um, so, Jonny, I want to take you back a little bit in your share. You talked about being on the kitchen floor, just crying out to God, why can't I be like other people? Why can't I be normal? Why can't I have a normal relationship? Why can't I do these things? Have you found an answer to that question? And if so, what does that look like in your life? Hey, Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform.
I love how you just spoke it back to me, because the first thing that came to my head is self. Why can't I have a relationship? Why can't I find a woman? Why can't That's not what this is about. It's not about me. It's about what can I give to people? How can I help? How can I serve God? Not how can I take, why can this relationship, how can I take this girl's heart? How can I take, so yeah, I think the way that it, because that was quite an important moment for me, sitting on that kitchen floor. And I think I was just sitting in so much like self-pity, like, why has this happened to me, God? Why? I never would pray for anything like that. Now I've come back in. Like, I would never ask for anything for myself. Like, God, please just help me out, find me. I just wouldn't. It's always about like, how can I go and serve you? And then look, all these people. I'm taking quite a few people through the work now, and yeah, like doing stuff like this, doing service and stuff. Yeah, like life is so good at the moment, Justin. It's unbelievable.
As that focus has changed from I, me, to God, what would you have me do and be? Who can I help? How can I help you? Um, how has that changed your relationship with people around you? I mean, you've talked about making amends with your nan and stuff, but how about other people in your life?
So I think the person that's noticed the most amount of change is probably my son. And it's a sad fact, you know, that my son saw all of this. Like he was there and old enough to see. He was only 6 months old at the end of my cocaine addiction. So at most, he's seen pretty much nothing, you know. Um, and I was like even resenting my son. Like even in my in the last 3 years, I started to think about like all of this is his fault, and if he didn't live here and he went and lived back with his mum, like I almost wanted to say like, no, this is you. Like it was really bad, like to put that onto your own kid. You know, like that, but that's how screwed up my brain was, and just why I'm just even more grateful that I like all of these things fell into place. The girl came and she made me realize that it was that I'm the problem. And I got to that meeting, and then I met Nikki, and then all of the other things. So, but obviously, my family are just over the moon that all of these amends are taking place. I say these amends like I'm just going to go and meet them, and it's going to be fine. But it's like it's an ongoing thing, and I'm going to be doing stuff with my nan for the rest of her or our lives. You know.
Yeah, I love that. And, one of for some people that I've made amends with, there hasn't been a continuation of a relationship with them. It just either them or I or both of us are like, we're good. Let's move forward. But there are those that healing has happened where things have been repaired in ways that are amazing. Do you have any other miracle experiences in making amends with people that you'd like to share?
Um, there were there were a couple of events that I made when I came in. So this is quite interesting. When I did come in, I did have a different sponsor that was very much just like the book says we don't apologize, so we changed the word apology and we sorry, we don't say sorry. That was it. We he said we don't say sorry. We approach them and we say I really really apologize, or I really really this. And I thought, oh okay, fair enough. I'm doing this properly. But actually, when I did some work with this guy, I did the step 7 and step 8 stuff. And 2 days later, I'm in the car wash. I've got a girl I've got to make an amends to, the sorry, 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 or apologies, apologies, apologies style amends. And I haven't seen this girl for 2 or 3 years, thinking I'm never going to see her. I'm in the car wash and she's in front, and I'm thinking, whoa, no, I don't believe this. I could have just got away with not doing it, but you know, like you've got to do it. So I went up to her through the window and I was just like, yeah, I really apologize for like all the stuff. And she was just like, oh, I'm really glad that you said that. Like all this, like, yeah, yeah. And I got back in my car and she's like, oh, take care. Got back in my car. And then we both went through the car wash. And when I got through the end of the car wash, I looked over, I was thinking, why is she parked up now? And boy, oh boy, did she, I was thinking, you're not supposed to say things back to me. Do you know what I mean? But she laid it on thick, and I sat there, I stood there, and I was just thinking, yeah, like, okay, I definitely deserve everything that you said to me. But that was a different mindset that I had even a month ago. Like, this stuff, it says it's not an overnight matter, but it doesn't have to take months or years either. This stuff can literally, you do the right thing, and your mindset can just change like that very quickly.
Yeah. Uh, that's a great experience. I love that you shared that. Thanks for going into that experience there. So Johnny, one of the things I want to touch on here is your mindset as you went in and gave back your 7-year chip and picked up the newcomer's keychain, as you said. Um, what what was the internal battle you had in making that decision, and what did that do for you in your life?
Okay, that's such a good question, Justin. It was, even though it felt like I was so disconnected from the program, from God and everything, I still felt that guilt in me that was so strong that by me saying to people, like in the meetings, I'm X amount of years clean. I never really touched upon it in the share. I really wanted to like just emphasize the fact of I was chasing these chips 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and I'm always saying shares as well. If you're new in, that is amazing. Like getting your 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, that's unbelievable, yeah. But when I am 5, 6, 7 years and I'm doing all this crazy stuff, destroying families behind closed doors, but I'm still present for the meeting, like, yeah, and like, everyone's like that, I feel like, oh. But when I took that pre-workout, for me, because it is a mind-altering substance, and because I did do research and it does have an amphetamine base in it, and it definitely did get me high, I am now lying not only to myself, but I'm lying to everybody around me. And that stomach not in the, like, it just was unbearable, and I had to do it, Justin.
Hey, Rico 12 Spearheads. If our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word of mouth support, keeps Rico 12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at rico12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Rico 12 Spearhead. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Thank you for sharing that. Are there any other words of wisdom or any other things that you feel your higher power putting on you that you want to share before we start wrapping this up?
Justin, do you mind repeating that question, please?
Yeah. Do you have any other things that you feel that God, your higher power, is saying, "Hey, I want you to share this to this group of people before we start wrapping up our meeting here"?
No, I really do feel like I've covered everything that I want to say, and I'm just so grateful for being able to come on and give me a platform to talk about my experience, strength, and hope. And thanks everybody for coming and for the questions and stuff. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Johnny. I really appreciate your share and just some of the answers to the questions that were asked here. They really illuminated me and motivated me to be better and do better. Thank you so much for an amazing Rico 12 speaker meeting. You in the live audience, if you have further questions, you'd like to connect with Johnny or continue this conversation, send me an email at rico12pod@gmail.com. I can make those connections happen. We can line up, we can send answers to those. And if you jump in the WhatsApp community, you can post those questions there and have the community, discuss it. If you haven't yet done so, please consider rating and reviewing Rico 12 on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, however you listen there. It really does help out in getting the message out to more people to hear these amazing stories like Johnny's as they share their recovery with others. Come back next week for another great speaker and Q&A session with Luke H., who previously spoke with us back in May this year. His topic then was selfishness, and I look forward to his talk this next week. And once again, reminder, we do have a few weeks left in 2025 that I still would like to put a speaker in there. If your higher power is putting a topic on your heart, reach out to me. We'll get it scheduled. Stay updated via WhatsApp, our email list, and we'll get in here. So, Johnny, you're going to lead us out today. You mentioned that you'd like to do that with the 9th step promises. Go ahead and go through those, and then we'll close out.
Thank you. So the reason I chose the 9th step promises were they really are like this. These 2 pages of the book, it really like cuts into me, like, because when I first came into recovery, like I was saying, these things were becoming true, and they do, and even now, these promises, they all come true if you work for them. Yeah. Um. Okay. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we are halfway through. We're going to find a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
Beautiful. I love those promises. They lift me. Thank you for sharing those. Everybody, remember there is one that has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back, and when you do, come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
There was a man put his hand by the side of his mouth, and he wanted to scream, but the sound never came out. So he reached for the bottle to wash the pain away, 'cause what he wanted so badly was to live a different way. And all of his problems and all of his pain filled up the puddle and rose with the rain. His ship kept on sinking to the bottom of the lake. For certain that he was just a fake, just a fake. Was a man put his hand by the side of his mouth, and he wanted to share, but only lies ever came out. So he reached for the needle to numb the pain inside, and the truth that he yearned for shriveled up and died. And all of his problems, all of his pain filled up the puddle, rose with the rain. The ship kept on sinking, bottom of the lake. For certain he was just a fake, just a fake. Hallelujah. what lives in the darkness dies in the light. Yeah, what lives in the darkness dies.